Welcome, everybody, to the Back of the West podcast. We are coming to you live from the small council room, which, oddly enough, was spared Drogon's rage. Every other place in the Red Keep was destroyed, but not the small council room. Plot hole! I'm Half, he's Black, and we are joined today by our third member who is officially on the show.
Woohoo!
Plex.
Woohoo!
He's a part of the show.
You're
You're a part of the show. You're part of our family now. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yes. The initiation process was hard for him. The initiation process was pretty hard for Plex. He had the taste of black in his mouth, and it was, well, he loved it.
It tastes like Tang.
Look at that.
like a couple of grape sodas.
A couple of grape sodas.
You guys are terrible. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Back of the Bus podcast. Again, however you found us, thank you for listening. Remember to rate us 5 stars if you love us, 5 stars if you hate us. You can find us on all of the major podcast listening apps except for Spotify. So that means Podbean, Pocket Cast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of those. YouTube, all of them. You guys can just check us out from there. Again, rate us, share us, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. You guys can get all of those links from the bio right there. You know where to find us. Thank you again. We cannot thank you enough for listening to us. We feel like a chapter of this show is closing to a certain extent with this show ending. So how do you guys feel?
Yeah, so...
Good, that's enough. Okay.
Awesome.
There we go.
There it goes.
I basically just want the 2 words. Plex, how do you feel? Meh. Okay. All right. Well, I know that Black has always been the more vocal one about Game of Thrones. He's read all the books. He understands them better. This guy has a impeccable memory when it comes to these names, and sometimes I think he makes shit up. Like last week we were talking, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, some for the merciful," and I'm like, "Yeah, bullshit. That person's not a real person. Like that's not in the book."
That's not true at all.
See, he did all of this.
It's not made up. I can show you.
Yeah, no, I don't care.
Okay.
It's okay. It is amazing that this man gets laid. But anyway. All right, guys. Thank you again for listening to us. We are ending our Game of Thrones recap shows with I couldn't have a better crew to end it with. So Black has always been our Arya, leading us into what is west of Westeros. So Black, take it away.
All right. So we're going to get the rundown. But before that, I just wanted to, cover something really quick. So, as Half mentioned, I'm usually the more critical component of the show.
Well, I mean, the show would be useless without you.
And that's not going to change for this episode. Like, I can already promise you that. But before I start bashing and talking shit, I just want to lay this out there. This is still the most incredible piece of television ever made. Yes. There's just absolutely no question about that. It's visually, acting-wise, story-wise, up until season 7, just all the elements of the show, casting, it's very hard to find major problems with the show up until these last 2 seasons. And even then, you just have amazing, cinematography. The score on this show is unlike anything you've ever seen before. Ramin Djawadi is a fucking genius. It's an amazing show. So I just wanted to make sure we put that out there because we are, I saw a quote by Sophie Turner talking about how kind of annoyed she was that people have been bashing the show considering how hard they worked for this last season. And I get it. I wouldn't want anybody shitting on our hard work also, especially once you've wrapped something like this up. So we really appreciate the show. We wouldn't be talking about it this much if we didn't love it. And I just wanted to make sure we put that out there before we get into the fun stuff.
Black is giving his disclaimer before he tears it apart. It's like that was basically his "this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you" speech that you give to kids.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so we begin with the rundown. And we will start with Tyrion, Jon, Davos, and Arya separately just walking around surveying the ruin that Dany caused with the dragons and the Unsullied doing all that, the Dothraki destroying the city. Then we get a shot of Tyrion going down into the secret tunnel to see if Jaime and Cersei made it out. He finds their bodies and starts crying, which I thought at the time was a little... I mean, I guess I understand him crying over Jaime, but you all right there?
I'm great.
All right.
I'm great. Great.
Half's already
He's already
bored.
choking up. No, he's already choking up.
I'm just... There are a lot of thoughts about this season. I gotta let you get through the rundown before we get Half's thoughts
Gotcha.
on how great this season was.
Then Jon has a run-in with Grey Worm about the execution of the Lannister prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously wasn't very happy about that. Grey Worm was not
Hearing
giving
it.
much of a fuck. Jon and Tyrion walk out to wherever in the city that the armies were assembled. Somehow Grey Worm teleported from where he was executing the prisoners to the top of the stairs where Dany was. That was fucking amazing. Dany gives this fucking kick-ass speech before that as she's walking off of Drogon. You see that cool-ass shot.
That was the best part of that episode.
Yeah. You get the cool-ass shot of the dragon wings unfolding behind her. It was fucking amazingly shot. She gives this crazy speech about how... Not crazy. Let me rephrase that. She gives a speech to her armies about how she's going to continue breaking the wheel all across Westeros and back across Essos. And she names Grey Worm Master of War. And basically implies that she's not going to stop until she rules the whole world. And then Tyrion takes his fucking hand of the queen pin down and throws it down on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I got to let you know that I need to rewatch, like, honest to God, need to rewatch the episode. I did give it a good once through, but I was, surprisingly, I don't do this a lot, but I was on vacation this weekend. And so I had to watch this laying in a bed at Cabana Bay at Universal Studios. So, there were some things I missed. So when you're talking about this Jon and Grey Worm scene, don't even remember seeing it. So
Nice.
Also, I had probably had a couple beers. And so it was a little over my head. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lots of that.
Awesome.
Where did they get the big banner? Targaryen, like 400.
Here's the thing.
Hanging.
I thought the same thing. I was like, who's the printer of Westeros? That was just like, oh, we've got to get this
Jesus
going.
Christ.
I think like every major house and army just has somebody who
just
sews banners.
Let me ask you this.
That's their job.
Do they-
just like in like
God,
the real
they're
army, they had
fast.
the drum guy.
Yeah. No, they're fast though.
Yeah, no. And let me. Do they
I'm sure
send?
she's had that shit since like Esso, like at the Great Pyramid. Well, hold on. Didn't they have one of those when she took
From
over?
Dragonstone?
No, she took over Marine.
Oh yeah, she did. She did.
She unfolded one of those over the Great Pyramid in Marine. Maybe she just carried that same one over.
Maybe. Let me ask you this: is it like the Super Bowl shirts? So, like, does the losing
Bring
team
them before?
do those get sent over to Essos to be like blankets for Dothraki children?
There you go. That's awesome. So Tyrion gets arrested. He throws on the hand of the queen pin, and then Jon and Arya. Jon's like standing there observing what everything's going on. Arya ninjas behind him.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
They talk. She warns him that Dany's a killer and this and that and the other, and he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go talk to her anyway." So he takes off to go talk to her.
Actually, great dialogue for Jon. A lot more dialogue than expected from him.
Yeah, in this episode, he said a lot more than "You're my queen," but we still get that line at some point. Jon visits Tyrion.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion attempts to talk him into assassinating Dany.
Yes, attempts. Pretty sure
Yeah.
he successfully attempts.
Well, but at the time, at the time, Tyrion didn't know that, right? So Jon actually walks out of that meeting talking about she's my queen, whatever, blah blah blah. He does make some points that to me were incredibly confounding and super hypocritical, which we'll get to later.
Super hypocritical.
Yeah, extremely.
I don't know. I actually kind of like this speech a lot,
And so do I.
and it kind of made sense to me. It made sense.
did.
Yeah, we'll talk about
It
that.
did. It made sense to me.
It made absolutely no sense.
We'll definitely talk about that.
All right. So then finally, Jon is on his way to see Dany. He gets like sniff tested by Drogon. That was another cool scene. How they just like came up out of the snow, and then when they shot back, and it was just like Jon's silhouette and Drogon kind of sniffing him. I thought that was cool. It was
And that
well shot.
we talked about before the episode aired. Me and you talked about something, and I think to me that kind of touched on something that I had mentioned to you that we'll talk about later.
Okay. Dany goes in the throne room. She finally gets her hands on the Iron Throne. Doesn't sit on it.
Only her hand.
Yeah, doesn't sit on it. Don't know why. Jon approaches, questions her about the flaming and the Unsullied murdering the prisoners. She explains herself. She raises what I thought were perfectly valid points in total contrast to the shit that Tyrion was saying, but we'll talk about it. One question there, where was her guard? Why was she alone in that room? She's doesn't walk alone anywhere, and then all of a sudden she's alone in that room. I just thought that was weird.
Okay.
Well, she had
because Jorah's dead.
well, she had the dragon guarding the entrance to the location. I mean,
Yeah, I get it.
what
But
else do you need guarding you?
her guards, like everywhere else she go, when she walked off of the platform after giving the speech, she was flanked by 2 rows of Unsullied. Everywhere else you've ever seen her, she's always flanked by guards.
who's going to get into the throne room?
Yeah, you have a fucking dragon guarding the throne.
Yeah.
Maybe she wanted to be
Sorry.
alone. Maybe she wanted.
You know what?
Cersei-
I like having Plex
Cersei-
here. Guess what? Your point is invalid, so you
That's
need
not
to
true.
zip it.
You want to go back and watch the show and see how many times you saw a king in the throne room in King's Landing in the Red Keep without fucking guards? I bet you $1 million you won't find one instance of that ever in fucking 73 episodes.
I don't know. She
I win.
literally just became queen. Like,
Yeah, bro. And she's breaking the wheel. Things can be new.
Okay.
I mean, it's great to see. These are great to see women in power, especially women who have flaws. And I really applaud the writers for this. Let's go.
Okay. So John kills her.
woohoo!
Wait, what?
Yeah. John kills Dany.
Was it a shot through the heart?
John, she gives a speech. He tells her you're my queen, blah, 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 stabs her. Mm-hmm. Drogon,
Very in character of John, by the way.
yeah, inexplicably chooses to melt the Iron Throne.
Well, yeah, because he sees swords. He sees one in his mommy, and he thinks that his mom sat on the Iron Throne and was stabbed by that chair. Drogon doesn't understand that the throne is not a
I don't know.
human.
I thought it was pretty symbolic.
Okay, dragons are not capable of symbolism.
I mean, this coming from the guy who
Yeah,
last
I
week
mean,
who's being
we're-
hypocritical now.
we're-
Last week you said Drogon loves his mother, and it's like
Yeah.
Okay,
He's a wild animal.
Any animal.
he's a freaking wild. He's
Are
an
you
animal.
fucking retarded? Any animal recognizes his mother.
Okay, but animals.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is the
Animals
dumbest
still-
shit I've ever heard
animals
either of you
still
say.
do-
No, man.
Look at
Animals
look at
don't-
the tiger that attacked his fucking master.
Yo, get this!
Siegfried
I had a
and Roy.
hamster eat all of its hamster babies one time. Do you think the hamster was like, oh,
They're
these are my
fucking
kids?
animals, man. Like, and
Bro,
this
this
is a
happens.
mystical animal that
For real.
doesn't really exist.
Let
If
me-
we want to get super nerdy and we want to talk about D&D, dragons in D&D have
super
higher
intelligent
intelligence levels than humans.
I get it.
And they can telepathically communicate with humans, so we don't know what the fuck a dragon is.
Let me ask you
thinking.
this: did you ever study dragons in the wild? No. So how about you shut up on the subject, bro?
I'm gonna smack you. All right. Then we get a cutaway after Drogon melts the throne and flies
Yeah.
away with Dany's body.
By the way, I just want to interject really quickly.
Yeah.
I thought that the melting of the throne was probably some of the worst CGI in that whole scene. Like, it was beautifully written, but it just, like, when it was melting, I remember thinking, that does look kind of fake. It was the only time out of this whole season, because we have to admit this whole season looked beautifully.
Yeah.
It was the only time out of this whole season where I was just like, meh. Although I got the symbolism and I got it, it was cool. But okay, moving on. That was it. That was my little 2 cents on that one.
Okay.
And it kind of touches on to the point that I was saying, why kind of that scene between Jon and Drogon before he walked to the throne room kind of
Oh, I figured it out.
a little something.
I know why he did it. Drogon knew he had to fly out of the throne room, and he saw all of these shiny, sharp spears sticking up.
No.
He wanted to make sure that he flew away without getting cut and hurting himself.
I think I don't.
No, I think he was just really worried about safety.
I think
Drogon,
maybe
the risk management
I think
manager.
it was a symbolic thing by him.
Okay.
You can question his intelligence level later.
All right. So we get the cutaway, and then all of a sudden we get a shot of Tyrion in the prison
In the prison cell, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It looks like he'd been there for some time.
Yeah,
His beard had grown out. They
And
didn't.
well, we have to assume that he had been there sometime because everybody from the north and Dorne and Robin, who jacked up, man. Yo,
Yeah.
titty milk, man, it works. He got jacked.
That's giant.
Yeah,
milk.
There we go. They all were able to get to.
The Iron Islands, all those people.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. So we have to assume that it was a couple. It was maybe a week or two, but yeah,
So Grey Worm brings Tyrion out to that assembled council of
the Great
people.
Council, basically.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me who everybody was? at
Yeah,
the Great
I have
Council?
it listed here. Ready?
Okay, go.
All right. You have Sam, who at the time I'm assuming represented Hornhill / the Reach.
Okay.
Because there's nobody else in the Reach. Next to him, you have some dude.
Yeah, some dude,
Then you have Edmure representing the Riverlands.
bro, poor Edmure.
Yeah, awesome.
That was great.
The Starks repping the North.
Yeah.
Davos.
Yeah.
Brienne. Gendry.
Okay.
Some dude next to Gendry.
Okay,
Robin Arryn.
and then the Dorne guy, right?
No, Robin Arryn. Bronze Jon Royce, who's like the general
Bron-
of the Vale armies.
Okay.
Another dude. And then Yara for the Ironborn with another dude. So there were like 4 dudes there.
Wait,
that-
but there was a Dorne guy there.
Oh yeah, and the Prince of Dorne.
the Prince of Dorne.
Yeah, the Prince of
The
Dorne.
new Prince of Dorne.
The new
So there was
we
like-
still don't know who he is.
3 random dudes in the Prince of Dorne that we get absolutely no explanation.
Yeah,
for
so
who
I
they are.
didn't understand the voting procedure, and I loved how they did this, where that was Davos spoke for the audience. He's like, I don't know if I have a say here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
was great. So anyway, go. Sorry.
All right.
He's turned into one of my favorite characters.
Really, honestly,
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Sansa asks about Jon. Mm-hmm. Grey Worm says he's a prisoner. They have a little tense moment about, Jon better be freed, and Tyrion, Grey Worm's like, he's our prisoner or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then you get my favorite part of the episode, besides the dragon unfolding, was Yara talking shit about letting Jon die, and Arya's like, bitch, I'll kill you. Like, that shit was just perfect.
Yeah.
Davos offers, as payment to the Unsullied, he offers the lands in the Reach, because he says that the Reach is
nobody's there. Yeah.
Which is weird, because does that mean that the Lannisters exterminated everybody after they killed Highgarden? Like, they just went around the rest of the Reach and just murdered all of the populace? That's okay.
Maybe.
And then he's like, yeah, you can start your own house and have your own families. None of these dudes have cocks.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, I mean,
What are
Davos doesn't have all fingers. So
what are they? How are they going to start families?
Here's the thing: what does Davos care about families? He spent 8 seasons away from his wife.
What do I know about diamonds? Yeah, no, I feel you. Grey Worm doesn't care about payment. He wants justice for Dany's murder. Mm-hmm. Tyrion says that the king or queen must decide and tells the assembled lords and ladies to choose. Mm-hmm. Edmure tries to stump.
Poor Edmure. Hey, by the way, but we figured out where Edmure was.
Sure, I guess at some point they let him out.
And he was wearing the fish, right?
It.
Yeah,
he was wearing the fish. So he's what now?
He's always been a Tully.
Okay.
So that's just his house sigil or whatever. All right, so Edmure tries to stump, gets shut down nasty by Sansa. Then, for some reason, Davos asks Tyrion who he thinks should be king, even though Tyrion's in fucking shackles. But we'll get
Didn't
to that
understand
later.
that, but this is the thing. This is where they patched it up, and Tyrion got his intelligence back.
yeah.
Yes,
well,
but
that to me was one of the kind of annoyances of this episode. Like, he's a moron for the last
2 seasons,
10 or 12 episodes, and all of a sudden he's back to being the genius Tyrion. Like,
yeah, no, that's
You know what?
Totally
that was a little.
You know what I've got? You know what I've got for you? It's all about King's Landing. King's Landing is his base, and it makes him feel comfortable. When you take an athlete out of his or her prime area,
It's blankie.
it is his blankie.
Okay.
Okay.
Tyrion nominates Bran with the weakest fucking reasoning to nominate a king ever. Bran, we get another line.
Bran's line was great.
Well, we get another line about the person not wanting power being the most deserving or whatever. He asks Bran if Bran will take the crown, and then we get the...
Why do you think I came all this way?
Which, remember that for later. Sansa declares the North an independent kingdom.
I saw a meme, hold on, about why do you think I came all this way? And then under it was Podrick yelling, because I pushed you, bitch!
So yeah, Sansa declares the North an independent kingdom. Bran agrees. Nobody questions it.
Yeah, Yara's just like, okay.
And
technically, he had just been nominated king, so who's going to question him?
And yeah, but no one, but somebody, whatever. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Now you have 2 Starks ruling the whole continent of Westeros. Bran names Tyrion his hand. Mm-hmm. Grey Worm objects. Bran overrules him. To your point, Grey Worm objects again, and thus we get Jon sentenced to the Night's Watch as the payment for Tyrion being hand. Mm-hmm. Tyrion tells Jon that the world will always need a place for bastards and broken men. Mm-hmm. So basically now the Night's Watch, even though there's no more White Walkers,
just prison.
ostensibly is a fucking prison camp, and this is where Jon gets sentenced to, but again, we'll get to it. Jon questions his decision to kill Dany. Tyrion tells him, talk to me about it in 10 years or whatever.
I think it's a great season.
And that's it. Then we get the Stark goodbye.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Great scene would have been if the Dothraki and Unsullied left on their boats, and then Bran just goes, hey, Jon. Psych!
Well,
yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking. Like,
that's on the list.
Yeah.
All right.
Just make them do a big U-turn. Listen, you march out for about 3 days, you U-turn and come back, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
They'll never find out.
Or
we'll start calling you by your real name. They'll never know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
We get the goodbye. Arya says she's going to go be of Marigo Vespucci and circumnavigate the globe.
What is west of Westeros?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's west of Westeros. Westworld Season 3.
Yeah.
Boom.
She says nobody knows.
Yeah.
Except for her brother, who can see everything. So why she couldn't just ask him, I don't know. Okay.
Because he's off looking for Drogon, who I found, by the way, in Diagon Alley.
Sure. Jon kneels in front of Bran. Bran tells him this is exactly what you were supposed to be doing, which, again, is troublesome. Brienne fills in Jaime's story in the Book of Brothers.
Yeah, I saw that.
Very nicely, very polite, not politely.
But she didn't end it with,
very lovingly.
he's a fuckboy, so
Yeah.
that's weird. I didn't get that part. I really thought that she was...
She wanted to honor his memory. They confer the small council.
You know,
I'm guessing the first small council since the whole shit, the whole whatever. I should mention that during Bran's coronation, they also tried to sort of establish democracy. So the thing you'd predicted.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought they were. Yeah, and
Sam tried really to establish democracy. And they laughed him off.
They shat all over my boy Sam to try to establish democracy.
There's also things that don't make sense about that, but we'll get to that later. So then you get the small council, right? The small council's conferred, and this is the small council. You have Bronn, who is now the Lord of the Reach, and Master of Coin.
Mm-hmm.
One question:
wait.
If Bronn is the Lord of the Reach, why wasn't he at the council that voted in?
Well, I'm guessing they did. They made
him after
because the thing is, at this point, Sam now is a maester. So Sam was at the Great Council. He was
not a maester. Yeah.
To Bronn, because at that point he was the highest ranking noble in the Reach because there was no Lord of Highgarden. So I guess that's what that is. Sam's a Grand Maester. Brienne is the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. And that's it. There's several positions. Oh, and Davos is Master of Ships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Seer of Secrets or whatever.
There's no Master of Whispers, Master of Laws, or Master of War. That's what's missing so far. Mm-hmm. Sam gives Tyrion the finished book of A Song of Ice and Fire, which I predicted on this very podcast.
You did?
They deliberate a bunch of nonsense.
Prostitutes.
Bran goes away to go find Drogon.
Okay,
in Volantis, right?
Going back to the book, did you find it funny that Tyrion wasn't mentioned in the book?
Did I find it funny?
Yeah.
I found it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that
I thought it was funny.
A Lannister wouldn't get mentioned in that book at all. Tyrion Lannister, not for murdering King Joffrey. Hello? Like that made no sense. That was just like for like a stupid laugh.
Jesus, we just had genocide.
They did say the thing. So I did see the thing on the internet about how Sam was gonna save Volantis when Bronn cut him off, which led to like the theory that
she's alive.
Well, yeah, because I read something about like a deleted scene talking about.
There was, yeah.
Is it legit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So for all of you who don't know, there was like supposedly a deleted scene where Drogon flies her to Volantis to where all the Red Priestesses are, and one of them brings her back or tries to bring her back or whatever.
I don't know if they filmed her coming back from the dead, but it was very Jon-esque.
Yeah. Then you get the final montage, which is Arya floating away on her boat.
I'll sail away.
Jon reuniting with Ghost to go be King Beyond the Wall.
Yeah, so I don't know if this was true or if it's just like fake Russian kind of propaganda, but somebody said that scene of him and Ghost was scene for scene from another season.
No. It's really close.
Okay.
But no.
Okay.
So do you think Jon gets to the Night's Watch and then the wildlings are there and then they send him to go be King Beyond the Wall? Is that what we all
No, because the King Beyond the Wall is never a fucking kneeler. And Jon kneeled.
Yeah, no.
Knelt? But okay.
Yeah, I think he
kneeled.
Went to be
King Beyond the Wall.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
And then we get Sansa getting crowned Queen of the North with a fucking kick-ass crown.
Yeah, it was a dope crown. She got the dope crown. She looks cool, man. She looks cool.
And that's it. That's the recap of the show.
So, let's talk about the things we enjoyed. Okay?
I think I said the two things already. it was the wings and Arya telling Yara,
say another word about killing my brother and I'll cut your throat.
And I don't necessarily like how we got there, but I do like Sansa
become Queen of the North and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the Tyrion speech with Jon. To me, it made sense. It all depends on, it's all your perception of
facts,
what she did and who she did it to. Because, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, she just killed a bunch of bad men and Marine and here and there. But, if you were one of the slave owners, you wouldn't look at it that way.
Yeah, but that's not what... Okay. What about you? What else did you like?
The scene with Drogon burning down the throne.
Okay.
I thought it was very symbolic. The wings we talked about.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Those are your main highlights?
Yeah.
Some things that I really liked about the I thought it was one, beautiful. Gorgeous. Yeah, everything was gorgeous. Yeah. I did think that they on the whole season in general they leaned a little too heavy on the slow-mo. Like Tyrion's walk through King's Landing after it was destroyed, I felt a little too long for me. Like, just get there, and then him. He's small. He has that little feet.
Takes a while.
Actually, you're absolutely right. So, yes, yeah, okay. So, also the other thing that I found a little interesting was that all of those bricks fell on Jaime and Cersei, but somehow their faces were still like super like
Perfectly
recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like one
Yeah.
little drop of blood coming down Cersei's
Yeah.
forehead.
Which actually proves my point about the prophecy being true. Because last week I was like, oh, the prophecy came true. And Ray's like, no, she was crushed by bricks. And clearly she wasn't crushed by bricks. So, fuck you.
Why? So her body couldn't have been crushed and she couldn't have died from that?
Okay, come
Internal
on.
bleeding.
All right, come on.
Hold on a
You're
second. We
reaching.
have a medical professional here.
What was the exact prophecy? In my opinion, if the whole prophecy was that her little brother would kill her, I would say the prophecy was fulfilled.
Yep.
Why?
It was his plan that got her to the position where she died.
I love that
mean,
we're rehashing last week's episode.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, yeah. Like, to me, the whole plan of Tyrion getting Jaime to go get her, and they ended up in that spot, and that's where they got crushed and died. That was all Tyrion's plan. To me, that fulfills the prophecy.
And when your tears have drowned you, the Valonqar, which is little brother, shall wrap his hands about your pale white throat and choke the life from you. That did not happen.
No.
It did. It
okay.
totally happened.
But she did cry, and the little brother did kill her,
Yep. Totally.
in a sense.
Okay, but
Not
didn't
Not with
choke
the
the life
hands
from
around
her.
the neck, no.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
So, yeah. So you like them
Semantics.
finding her...
I just thought it was a little weird. The scene was cool. The scene of Dany talking to everybody.
Yeah.
That was dope.
It was great speech.
So here's what I think it did though. And
Did you read about what she did?
Yeah,
or
she
about
watched
Emilia
Hitler. She
Clarke
watched Hitler,
to prep for that. She watched
yeah.
Hitler's speech videos to prep for that scene.
Oh,
And
my God.
actually, here's the thing, and I think, and I'm not being the best healing Kendall right now. I'm being absolutely honest. I think the speech, if you watch the last two episodes together, I think the speech does more for her behavior in the previous episode when she snapped and started killing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's still. Although, if you were going to place it perfectly, a speech like that or something very similar to that should have probably happened before the attack of King's Landing, and then that thing happened after. But anyway, I think it really kind of tied it all up.
Let me ask you a question. What was wrong with that speech? What did she say that was so bad? That was so mad queenish.
Oh, well, she had a god of war or master of war, whatever the fuck.
Everybody has a master of war.
Not everybody.
Bran is going to name a master of war.
But did he?
Don't be an idiot. Answer my
So he
question
doesn't.
honestly. What was so mad queenish about that speech?
The fact that she was doing it in a town that she had destroyed.
No, I think part of it was also the fact that she's saying, "Oh, we're gonna go around and liberate this and liberate that and this place and that place." Like those.
How was that any different from any conqueror ever? Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, all of them.
You're naming real people.
Okay, fine. Robert Baratheon, fucking every
Robert Baratheon didn't care about anything but getting drunk and not pissing himself.
Aegon the Conqueror left Valyria and conquered all of Westeros with 2 dragons and 1,600 men. How do you think they accomplished that? By fucking burning people and making people kneel and wanting to expand his empire. He could have just went to Dragonstone and they established fucking Dragonstone. But they wanted an empire, so they built an empire. Do you know how you build empires? By conquering people.
Yes.
That's what... She didn't
But
say anything any different.
That's exactly why people think she went Mad Queen.
But how come no one says Aegon was a mad king?
They do.
They know. Her dad, Aerys, was a mad king. No one's ever said anything bad about Aegon the Conqueror.
Well, I'll say it right now. Aegon the Conqueror was an asshole. I'm being honest, man.
listen,
It doesn't fit the story.
It's all perception. Like, if you're on her side, yeah, you're okay. She's the conqueror. She wants to rule. She wants to. If you're not on her side, like, what?
But how is that any different from any conqueror ever?
How would you look at it if you were in Winterfell?
I understand that, but
and you just fought to kill the White Walkers. Your queen is
With
there, with her, yeah, sure, with her, and now she wants to turn around and go back and rule and burn if you don't follow her and shit. Like,
but how? But my question to you is, how is that any different from any? What is Sansa going to do?
It's not.
Sansa's going to rule the North, just the way anybody else is going to rule the North,
but not by burning people with a dragon if they don't choose to follow her.
Because she doesn't have a dragon. You can bet your sweet little ass if Sansa had a dragon, the conversation will be different. The only difference is that Dany's got a dragon. She's not doing anything
Had
different.
a dragon. Danny's dead.
Okay, that's very true. All right. So, anything else that you liked?
Yeah, I liked a lot of it. I thought it was really cool. I thought there was a lot of redemption arcs in it. It was neat. Redemption arcs. Yeah. Feminism was really on display. Really. Yeah, I know. Really cool. I'm really happy about that. So, the future is feminine. Or female, is that how it is?
I'm going to delete all of that.
V's biggest knock on the show was that a woman didn't end up queen.
Well, I mean, really,
yeah, she did. But I'm saying, like, she wanted,
technically, both
Sansa to be queen of, like, everything, or Arya, or Dany. Like, it was, like, a whole, like, oh, but there's no women, they didn't break the wheel, and blah, 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 blah. It's still a man on the throne, and it's
is he, though?
Dude, there's a lot of differences that they made.
His
all right, so let's go through, like, the argument points now.
Okay.
Let me check this other thing, make sure there's nothing from earlier before we just get to that.
Pluck is super mad.
Okay, so before we go into, like, a specific argument about it, let me ask you this general question. Kind of to what you were just talking about with V right now. What was the point of the show if we basically left off where we started, just with different people inhabiting the roles?
I mean, you just answered it. Different people inhabited different positions. I mean, it gave us 8 seasons of wonderful entertainment.
Sure, but I mean, I'm talking about I'm trying to get a little bit more
in depth. Like, you want more meat,
nuance. Yeah, I want to have an actual conversation.
Well, there's different people on the throne. Mm-hmm. The North is separated now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm not saying what changed. I'm saying what is nothing changed. The substance of the world didn't change. You just have different people playing the roles that were in place before.
But I mean, those are the people that changed the world.
They did. I mean, I absolutely disagree with you on this. The Lannister family is essentially gone.
Okay.
Highgarden
so it's different
gone.
people inhabiting the roles, but it's still the same role. What I'm saying is that there wasn't any, like, seismic shift in what the world is going to be like.
Yes, there is. Because now you have Bran the Broken ruling over, and when it's his time to die, guess what happens? They will vote again for a new king or queen.
Awesome. And you know what's exactly going to happen the first time that happens? You're going to get a split vote, and you're going to end up with a fucking war, which is what happened last time a king had to get voted in, and it's going to go right back to the same shit. Nothing's going to change.
Okay.
So, we didn't get, like... It just feels like you went through this whole journey to kind of just end up right back at your starting point. It just feels a little...
I mean, isn't that what most stories are about most of the time?
No.
Like, you just get back to your starting point, where you're at?
No. It should be progress.
Well, there was a lot of progress.
There wasn't.
The Targaryens are all dead. The Lannisters are all dead.
Killing off a bunch of people isn't progress. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about change that is... long-lasting change that will actually affect the realm.
But the difference is, these are the people that are going to make those changes. You're assuming they're going to come to a split vote and this, then. What if they don't? What if just, hey, this guy has been groomed. He's been running this really well. He is the most logical guy. Everybody votes just like they did Bran. Nobody objected to Bran being king.
Sure.
They vote one guy in. What if
50 years from now, it's not going to be the same people who are voting now. It's going to be their kids who are going to have their own beefs and their own marriages and their own shit, and it's going to be totally different.
Yes.
You cannot...
That can happen.
Human history is on my side.
But these aren't humans. These are characters inside of a show.
But they're based on fucking humans. We're not talking about dark elves. Like, we have to operate under some fair assumptions of, like, that they're going to behave the way our species behaves. Otherwise, none of this is worth talking about.
I mean, yeah,
okay,
I think it's really
one more
worth
question.
talking
How
about.
long does the Third Eye Raven live?
Forever, bro.
Well, the previous guy lived to 125 years.
So we got 125 years.
Yeah.
So he can change a lot of things in 100 and... let's say he has 100 years left because he's already 25.
He's not 25, but yeah,
Whatever.
absolutely. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on this.
I don't think they really ever address his real age, but
All right. So the next, like, kind of general question I have is: so, was this show really about the Starks in the long run?
I don't think so. I think the show had a lot of storyline with different houses. The Lannisters played a big part. The Starks obviously were, I think, the main one, but
Well, that's what I mean.
They didn't rule the entire part of the show. So a lot of the show was Dany. A lot of the show was the Lannisters. A lot of the show was them. I think they're the house that we all kind of most people kind of rooted for at the end. Mm-hmm. So I'm that's why I'm okay with the ending. I'm kind of glad that at least for them it turned out to be, pleasant.
Okay. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the show was about the Starks to a certain extent. I think what happens is you really rooted for them, and it was a great starting point and an ending point with the Starks, right? But during the way, there were a lot of other characters that came and went.
Damn tragic.
Yeah, no, and there was tragedy and everything else. But yeah, I absolutely think that the focus of the show, especially the TV show, maybe not so much the books all the time, but especially the TV show, is about the Starks.
Well, would it interest you to know that next book is supposed to be called Winds of Winter? Mm-hmm. The last book, the original title was going to be A Time for Wolves, and then he felt that was too specific, so then he changed it to A Dream of Spring. So I think that maybe that is in line with the whole show premise as far as it being really a Stark-centric story with all of these other elements kind of circling around it. Mm-hmm. I don't mind necessarily that it was about the Starks. It's a question I just wanted to ask.
I do got one quick question. Mm-hmm. Out of all the characters on the show, who do you think would have been the best king?
Out of all the characters on the show, dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Rob.
I think Rob. I also think Rob, yeah.
This entire story changed dramatically. First of all, if Rob's alive, Rob and Dany as a marriage is fucking
oh my
perfect.
God, that's amazing, yeah.
John is too fucking emo.
But Quinn.
Rob and fucking Dany would have been a perfect match. I've always said this from a long time ago. When John wanted to leave the Night's Watch back in season 2, right after Ned was beheaded, and Rob was marching south, if Sam and these fucking jerk-offs don't stop him from going, right, and he gets to Rob, and Rob then legitimizes John, right, because he can do that, he's a king, when he goes to negotiate with Walder Frey, and he promises John to Walder Frey, I think that would have been good enough for Walder Frey. They get to cross, they do the thing, they win the fucking war. John's a good strategist sometimes. Trench warfare not included. And none of the shit, the Red Wedding doesn't happen. None of that shit happens. The North wins, the Lannisters get crushed. I 100% have always believed that.
Do you think Rob stands up to Dany if she comes over with the dragons?
No, I think Rob and me, the thing is tough, right? At that point, Rob married that other chick, so whatever.
Well, it's not only that. I think Dany's biggest issue was she wanted absolute power. Like, she didn't like being questioned. She didn't want to share the...
Did she? Did she?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why, to me, that whole speech with Tyrion and Jon where he said, do you really think I'm the last person that she's going to execute?
All right, fuck it. Then we're just going to go there. Fuck everything else. Let's go there. All right. So Tyrion says first, he starts comparing the bodies that Dany piled up versus what his family piled up during their reign. So here's a couple of things I'm going to throw at you. When the Lannisters and Starks went to war, and the Tullys, which are the Lords of the Riverlands, joined the Starks because they're related, Tywin Lannister summons the Mountain and tells the Mountain, I want you to set the Riverlands afire and burn every house, every keep, every village, everything. There's a lot of fucking people in the Riverlands. If you set a mad dog who's ready to murder and torture and do whatever they want, he killed a lot of people in the Riverlands. People who went uncounted, people who necessarily didn't get torched by dragonfire in front of our faces, but he did it for a long time. They talked about when the Brotherhood Without Banners came around, that's what it was. They were displaced people from the houses in the Riverlands who this guy had fucking tormented. Number one. Number two, when Cersei blows up the Sept of Baelor, there's 1,000 people, 1,500 people in that church. Wipes out an entire family, the Tyrells. And how about all the people who got hurt when the bell went flying and the building crumbled and in the subsequent explosion and all of that? She wasn't at war with any of those people. And she murdered them. At least Dany was at war with Cersei and everything in King's Landing.
So you justify her killing...
I'm not justifying anything. What I'm saying is that Tyrion is full of shit. Tyrion is saying Dany killed more people in a single day than my family did.
I think she did. I think
You can't. First of all, you can't say you don't have no idea how many people the Mountain killed in the Riverlands. And again, what does that matter? Dany was able to kill more people because she had a dragon. It doesn't make her worse than Cersei and Tywin, who killed people indiscriminately for fucking no reason. It doesn't make her worse.
It makes her just as bad.
Okay. So it makes her just as bad as Tywin Lannister doing the Red Wedding. Masterminding the Red Wedding and killing a bunch of people under the guise of guest rights at a wedding, stabbing a fucking pregnant chick in her belly. Like that's cool.
No, that's not cool.
But this is my point. How is Tyrion arguing that she's worse than his family?
How many pregnant people did Dany kill?
Crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know how many pregnant women got killed by Dany burning down that.
Okay, you don't know how many people the Mountain killed in the Riverlands over a prolonged war.
It's not the probably 10,000 people that this chick just killed.
All I'm saying
in one afternoon.
All I'm saying is that using his family as a comparison is a bullshit argument. Because they killed people who they weren't even. Cersei blew up a church.
Yeah. What do you think just happened to whatever other churches were in that city when Dany flew over and burned them all down?
All those churches.
There could have been multiple, 3, 4, 5
She blew up one.
different religions of churches, and
there's not. That doesn't. Whatever.
There could have been 3 or 4, 5, 6 other churches, even if they're all the same religion, in the same town in different parts of the town that were destroyed.
I'm saying she blew up a church full of people. Like,
yeah, okay,
all right.
I get it.
So you're totally fine.
But what I'm saying is, she's not any better than them. She's not any worse than them. She's just as bad as they are, which still makes her a bad guy because they were the bad guys of the show, the whole show.
Okay. We're going to get there. So then he talks about Dany feels like she's a child of destiny and that if you believed that you were the person that was going to usher in paradise, wouldn't you kill anyone that stood in your way of paradise?
I agree with that, yes.
Okay. How is that any different than what anybody else would do in that spot? If it's you, because you said you agree with it. So if it's you and you believe you are the person who can make the world a better place, wouldn't you do the same thing? Wouldn't you kill whoever you had to kill to achieve that goal?
Yes, I would. Now, if killing that person was flying over, burning down the keep, killing Cersei, your queen, cool. I agree 100%. That's what you got to do.
Okay.
Flying over the city, burning tens of thousands of innocent people to get to that point? No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. So, do you know whose fucking original plan it was to fly to the Red Keep and burn the fucking Red Keep down with just Cersei in it? Dany's. That was Dany's plan. Episode 1, Season 7, when it's her, Yara, Olenna, fucking the lady from Dorne, all of them. Do you know who talked her out of that fucking idea? Tyrion. The same person who's now advocating the assassination is the person who fucking caused all this shit to begin with. If Dany would have just been able to go, burn the fucking Red Keep, he was protecting his sister and fucking Jaime, which is bullshit. If you're Dany's hand and you are giving bad advice to protect your sister and then Dany goes crazy, you're responsible, not her. And now he's advocating her assassination. It was his stupid ass plan to go north and lose one and end up losing one dragon to get the stupid zombie to prove to Cersei, who had just blown up a church full of people, oh shit, look, this threat is coming. And then he believes her when she says she's going to send an army north. She doesn't, obviously, because any asshole with a brain would have understood Cersei's not sending you help. So that gives Cersei all the time to build the fucking scorpions, fortify the city, and bring all of those people that Dany killed into the fucking walls of the Red Keep to begin with. All of that happened because Tyrion talked her out of going into fucking King's Landing when she first wanted to and burning Cersei down. Yes. So you cannot be sitting here justifying him talking about assassinating her when his awful advice is what put Dany in this position to begin with.
Yes, we've talked about his awful advice throughout other episodes.
Right, but we're talking about...
If she flies over season 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
No, not season 1.
Whatever,
Season
5.
6, when
Whatever.
the dragons are full grown.
Show's over. Like, there's no more show. There's no more story.
That's not true.
And then you know what we get. And then you know what we get.
could have just built to the Night King.
No, then we get everybody yelling about how the writers took the easy way out. They just wrote something off. Here we go. You know what?
But I'm not talking about the writers right now. I'm talking about we're in the world. We're pretending we are there.
Okay, so then tell me, explain this to me. What was the point of her doing all this shit with the Dothraki and the Unsullied and all this shit if all she had to do is fly 3 dragons over, burn the fucking place down, sit on the throne?
She didn't know that. She didn't know that. And when she was collecting when she first got the Unsullied, the dragons were fucking tiny. The dragon was
when she first got the Unsullied, they were big enough to burn down the fucking masters. That
he wasn't. But he was a fucking eagle maybe of a fucking condor at best. He wasn't the fucking full grown dragon. So
I've become useless.
No, I engage the conversation. All I'm trying to ask is, why are we okay with Tyrion thumping for Dany's assassination when he is hugely responsible for the things that supposedly drove her mad? Like, that's like...
Would you say that Dany has no personal responsibility for this, and because she isn't in control of her own emotions?
I'm not saying she has.
Are you insinuating that Dany can't control her emotions because she's a female? That seems really, really rude.
I'm gonna mute your microphone. I swear to fucking God, I'm gonna mute your microphone. Dany, I'm not saying Dany doesn't own any responsibility for it.
Because, I mean, she owns all of it.
She does not own all of it. But what I'm saying is, does she deserve to have this person campaigning for her assassination, basically based on the fact...
Yeah, because she made the decision, man. She was the one who made the decision.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this other question.
In my opinion, at the end of the day, she was sitting on top of Drogon. She heard the bells ring.
Okay.
She made the decision. Mad or not, PMSing or not.
No, let me ask you this question.
Whatever you want to say.
Here,
It was her decision to say, we're going to burn this.
Let me ask you this question. One of your kids does something really dumb and they have to get in trouble for it. Do you then go into the mirror and blame yourself because
1,000 fucking percent. 1,000 fucking percent. What if my children do something wrong? I have to stop and think about what the fuck I did wrong as a parent before I just fucking whoop their ass. I'm sorry.
But do they still get their ass whooped? Do they still get in trouble? Do they still get punished for their actions?
But they don't get assassinated.
Well, I mean, they're not killing
Obviously,
people.
because you're not trying to go to jail for the rest of your life. But the point is, there's still consequences to their actions.
Okay,
exactly.
I understand that, but you know what?
The consequence to her action for killing thousands of people?
Do you know what none of my kids are? A fucking king or a queen. None of them.
Okay, but now you're just making the argument out to like fight on your point. Like, this is, they are. They are princesses and princes.
Sure.
He is getting strong like his daddy and me.
So let me ask you this final question about the Tyrion.
Lovely debate.
2 episodes prior, right, when they are in Winterfell and they're talking about their plan after the Battle of Winterfell, right? Tyrion and Jon suggest the following.
I watched the people of King's Landing rebel against their king when they were hungry, and that was before winter began. Give them the opportunity, and they will cast Cersei aside.
We'll surround the city. If the Iron Fleet tries to ferry in more food, the dragons will destroy them. If the Lannisters and the Golden Company attack, we'll defeat them in the field.
Once the people see that Cersei is our only enemy, her reign is over.
All right.
Where basically what they want to do is lay siege to King's Landing and starve out the people until the people revolt and overthrow Cersei. Okay? How is starvation any more humane than killing by dragonfire?
I think it's a lot more humane. First, people are not going to let themselves get to the point where they're going to starve.
Actually, yes, they are.
No, they're going to leave King's Landing.
They're not going to leave. Dude, based on the history of this world and on this show, do you know why Daenerys cut Davos' fingers off?
Because he was smuggling slaves.
No, he was not smuggling slaves.
Oh.
And where were those lords when Storm's End starved? First we ate the horses. We weren't riding anywhere, not with the castle surrounded. We couldn't feed them, so fine, the horses. Then the cats. Never liked cats, so fine. I do like dogs. Good animals, loyal, but we ate them. Then the rats. The night before you slipped through, I thought my wife was dying. She couldn't speak anymore, she was so frail. And then you made it through the lines. Slipped right through in your little black sail boat with your onions.
No, but it is some salted beef, I believe.
Every man on Storm's End wanted to kiss you that night.
I was relieved they did not.
Robert told me to hold Storm's End, so I held it.
It saved everybody's life in the fucking castle. And even though that happened, he still cut off his fingers for being a smuggler. People withstand sieges in this fucking world for months at a time. People starve and die. Watching your children starve and then getting to the point where you decide you're gonna kill the fucking queen is not more humane than getting burned by dragonfire in an instant. There's no argument you can make on that favor. So what the fuck does that make Jon and Tyrion?
Good guys.
Yeah, no.
I mean, listen, it's a pretty bad plan, but their hopes was they go starving for a few weeks. They're gonna revolt.
They're gonna revolt.
They're
yes.
gonna make up, or they're gonna, just like he said, they're gonna just fucking leave. They're gonna say, "Fuck, we don't need this," and they're gonna leave.
Nobody's gonna stop
King's
them from
Landing.
leaving. Nobody will stop them from
I mean,
leaving.
even if they tried, it's gonna cause more of a revolt. It's gonna cause more of a problem.
They don't necessarily have to revolt.
Their plan was not, we're gonna starve them for 8 months until they all fucking die.
Their plan was to have a siege for as long as it took.
Yeah,
They don't
but
care.
here's what I'm saying.
But their plan, their hope was that they would revolt against her before it got to the point where little kids are starving on the street and dying.
But they're all right.
And
but
here's the thing. Who's to say that they're not going to leave? And if they try to leave, maybe a Lannister forces are there to stop them. But then again, you're thinking of them going the wrong way. We're thinking of them revolting against Cersei and running into the keep and taking her out. Correct?
And
Wrong.
now,
Now,
they're gonna fight their way
if
through.
you're going to keep talking, we're going to.
But I'm asking, so they're gonna revolt and they're gonna fight their way through the Lannister soldiers and the Golden Company, because those people aren't gonna be
The
starving.
Golden Company weren't there
She's gonna-
yet.
Of course,
No, they were there.
of course they were there.
Were they
Dude,
there
you're
at all
talking
this
about-
season?
Eventually, you're talking about. I mean,
wish you guys
how
could
many
see
people
his
were in
face.
King's Landing? 100,000, maybe.
No,
Maybe?
millions.
What?
Millions.
Million people. It's the
You're
biggest
talking
city in
about
Westeros.
Millions of people against
Women and children.
30,000 soldiers. Fine, even if a million people, let's say 300,000 of them are capable fighting men, 15 and up. 300,000 men against 20,000 soldiers.
Yeah, but she has to let them. They have to breach the walls of the keep. Where she let them in.
Eventually, they
Again, you're
can-
thinking of them going towards her, and I'm thinking
And
of
what if
people
they
leaving.
leave? And what if they leave?
The city becomes useless.
But then they didn't have to. Then you don't have to have a seat. Then you could have done what I told you a couple of weeks ago and just declare fucking Winterfell the new capital and isolate Cersei, fortify the rest of Westeros. I mean, that would have been good advice if you're
Yeah,
fucking Tyrion
I
or
don't disagree,
Varys
but,
or whoever. Again,
the writing on the show overall we've talked about has been pretty bad this season. We just got, we got to accept that's the plan that they decided to do.
all right, I understand that, but
Their hopes was that it wasn't going to reach to the point where the entire city was going to starve.
sure, that's their hope. Their hope was that she was going to hear the bells and let it go. That's
Yeah.
not how it happened. What if it didn't happen how they were hoping?
But that's also it was her choice to burn the place down. They hoped she didn't, just like Tyrion hoped that Cersei would send an army to fight against the Night King. She didn't. That was her choice. But
do you or do you not agree that the choices that Tyrion made from the minute they left fucking Essos until this episode largely contributed to the loss of 2 dragons and Missandei and technically Jorah, because they were expecting Cersei to send troops up north.
I honestly think that we're not holding the individuals who died, including the dragons, accountable for their own actions. Listen, yeah, you could have made a plan, right? Like I could tell you, hey, I need you to run into that house, that burning house over there, to save the child, right? But if you run over there and you're like, whoa, this is really big, I can't do this, and you run back and you save yourself, guess what? My bad plan doesn't mean anything, because you made a decision when you were there. You used your insight and your knowledge to call an audible instead of following my plan and saying, I'm going to save myself. So again, are we holding people accountable or are we not?
If Dany goes to the Red Keep episode 1, season 7.
Tyrion's not walking into these people and saying, "Yeah, let's go."
If Dany goes to Red Keep, episode 1, season 7, right, and burns down fucking Cersei,
Yeah.
does Tyrion not do the same shit, calling her mad? They were talking about her mad queening from back then. Doesn't that happen anyway?
Maybe he does.
She loses anyway.
Maybe.
There was no circumstance under which her unleashing her dragons was going to be acceptable to these people. That's the problem.
You don't think if she goes in, burns down just to keep, kills Cersei, let's say Dany lets Sansa take the north, you don't think he would have been like, okay, yeah, she's all right?
I think if he gives her the advice and she goes against it, it starts the whole thing of, I can't control her, I can't manage her, she's not listening to me.
What if she would have agreed to
Which is
do
an
all
allegory
that?
for our current political situation.
What if she does that? Kills Cersei, gives Sansa the north, marries Jon. Agrees, okay, we're going to get married, we're going to rule together, la 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 la. You don't think Tyrion would have been like, okay,
I mean, if what ifs were real, we'd all be shitting ice cream.
So, all right.
Like,
so then the other thing that he talks about that you mentioned earlier was, because now what I want to do is transition straight into the Dany Jon speech, because these two things are so closely related, right? So the other thing he talks about is how she doesn't want to share power, right? She wants it on her own. She doesn't want to share power. So Dany and Jon are talking, and what does Dany tell Jon?
That she wants to be with him.
She says, I want you to build the world with me. You and I, we get to choose.
Yeah,
all the things that they are accusing
yeah.
her of not saying, she's saying right there in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like when you get married and,
yeah, dude.
she wants to build a family with you, and then she makes every decision, and you just nod your head and smile.
Bro, dude.
Okay, well,
I
he
still
could've just
don't
fucking-
nod. I still don't nod.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no,
I
no.
don't nod.
I mean, like,
But that's not the point. The point is, I understand if she goes, no, bitch, Neil, whatever, fine, Mad Queen. But that's not what she said. She told
never do that.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
They
told
make it
him.
seem like it's all
Exactly.
roses and peaches at first.
Uh-huh.
So
They're still in the newlywed phase of their relationship. Everything is
Yeah, they're honeymooning
acceptable
right
at this
now.
point.
Yeah.
So if she says the wrong thing, she's bad, and if she says the right thing, she's bad.
I mean, isn't that the day-to-day life we live in as husbands?
It's not just what she says.
But
It's
we're
the
talking-
actions that she just.
But she did one in the entire course of fucking 8 seasons. She did one thing we disagree with, and she's a bad guy.
I mean,
She's being held to a higher standard than anybody else. You're holding her to a higher standard than Tyrion could be held to. Tyrion did plenty of fucked up shit.
Yeah, but there's a reason why Tyrion was not gonna
He's
end
the
up
hand
on
of
the crown.
He's the hand of the fucking king. He won. He basically won. He fucked her over, had her assassinated, and then he
That's
ends
because
up...
he's a fucking genius
Jon
again.
ends up in fucking prison, and he ends up handing the king. It's fucking ridiculous.
That's 'cause he's a genius
You cannot be defending this.
yeah, no,
Bumped
he's
his
a
head
genius.
while he was imprisoned, and he became a genius,
He's a genius.
again.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is a genius.
I don't know,
think
man.
wow. Now that you've explained it this way, holy cow! This show wasn't about the Starks. It was about Tyrion Lannister.
God, dude.
He was a badass character.
He was a badass
Dope.
character seasons
Until-
1 through 5.
No,
Here we go again. He was great still.
Yeah, a little
Listen,
more.
here's the thing. In seasons 1 through 7, they had so much dead weight into this story. Season 8, they cut it all off, and they got to the point in the meat. I got meat in this story. I didn't get any bones, I didn't get any fat, and I didn't get any gristle. This son of a bitch is just... you turn my mic off because I'm making points.
Turn your mic off because you're just trolling. And it's annoying.
No,
I'm not.
I think a lot of the other decisions that Tyrion made, some of them were bad. Obviously, the first dragon going down was bad. The second dragon going down, that's just bad planning by
Dany.
the whole council.
Again, are we not holding the dragon accountable?
Danny.
He
No,
didn't
it's
see
Danny,
it?
it's everybody. We talked about. You have Bran on your side that can fucking look.
Papa, but okay. At my job, let's put it to you like this. At my job, everybody's got a fucking certain role. Right? The teller is the teller. That's the person who takes your money. Fucking the banker can't do that. Right? The teller cannot sell you shit. That's the banker's job. The manager's job is to get yelled at. So on and so forth. Right? Do you know whose fucking job it is to do all of this shit that we're talking about? The hand, my dude. The same job that Tywin did
I understand, dude. It's
all
like,
that time.
Okay, but
That's
to
on
me,
you.
To me, it's like you work at a job. You're the manager of a store. You have assistant managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assistant to the manager.
Assistant managers, whatever. Then you have the role players that do their part. You have the cashier, the stock boy, the yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion's an assistant manager.
Mm-hmm.
The manager still has to approve all the bullshit that the assistant manager is doing.
No, 100% that's not true. 100%
Well,
the assistant
then-
manager does not have the... Because what if they're not there? What if
That's
like,
why you have
that's-
multiple assistant managers.
Exactly. Are you saying that Danny was so
doesn't Best
inept
Buy
as a...
have like 3 assistant managers?
Yeah, but what
Yeah, but
I think
you have one that's running the store at any one time.
I think there's a point you're missing here.
Yes, dude, but
you're
the
saying
man-
that Danny was so inept that she didn't build in fail-safes to some of these things?
That's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day,
It's-
Danny has to check off on all these fucking decisions.
Like, there was no checks
that
and
they're passing
balances?
on to her.
Like Tyrion just had rule?
I understand that.
Like an assistant manager can't just go and say, "Hey, I'm going to hire 7
Nope.
new cashiers."
I understand that. I'm not absolving Danny of her responsibility.
Kind of feels like you are.
No, but what I'm telling you is that if this is the advice that she's getting, and from this person, and then this person is who she followed his advice. It's not that she didn't do the things he said. Hold on. She did everything he suggested up until she burned all those people. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yes or no? Thank you. She did everything he suggested. It fucked her over, and now he's pissed at her for listening to her. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not about absolving Danny, but he is the same person advocating for her death.
Yeah, I think...
I understand, but
That's
I get it.
fucking hypocritical.
I mean, it's also...
it's human nature.
It's also conniving.
It's human nature, but she still checked off on all those fucking decisions. She
Yep.
could easily said, "You know what?
Yep.
That one I don't like. I think we're gonna do this."
Understandable,
Okay.
but again, is her listening to him worth getting assassinated over?
Maybe that's his plan.
All right, fine.
Maybe that-
If they would have
maybe.
spun it that way, if the show would have shown us that, if they would have given us one line that this was Tyrion's plan all along, then I have no argument. But that's not what they said. I love her, not as successfully as you, but I believed in her with all my heart. That's what he said.
And how do you know he's not lying?
For fucking word. Why is he lying to John in that spot?
I don't know. Maybe he wants to lie to John.
Okay.
Because he wants
So
John,
now we're just making shit up.
Because he wants John to believe that he loved her so that John would go off and kill her.
Okay. All right. So Danny speaks to John when she's talking about building a better world, breaking the wheel with him, having him be her partner. None of that suggests she's insane. Would you agree?
I've heard crazy women talk like that before. I never want to leave you. Let's do everything together.
That's not what she said.
I mean, pretty. Not,
She
not
said,
a far stretch.
I want you to help me. Do this with me. Not, we're going to be together forever and we're going to carve our fucking names with knives into our fucking chests.
Well, John kind of did that, right?
Dude, so I'm just saying, in my point of view, none of what she said in that speech was like, oh shit, this bitch is crazy.
I mean,
No, I in that specific speech, I can see that as being like, okay, yeah, maybe what she's saying is not crazy. But the speech she had before to the Unsullied and whatever,
I'm gonna conquer the world. How's that crazy, dude?
but the way
Any
she was,
conqueror,
the way she was talking, the way she was, it wasn't just what she said. The look on her face, the way
Yeah.
she was,
It was
kind
the
of
messaging.
carrying herself. It
Absolutely.
wasn't
was
that
the-
of somebody just saying,
was
"Listen,
propaganda.
I'm sorry, bro.
And then even before that, she burns down the whole fucking city and kills.
Yep.
Okay, everybody on the show has done fucked up shit.
Yes,
She just
except
she
for
asked,
John.
No,
Or
she
Bran.
asked. She asked John. She asked John. What did John do to Ollie?
He hung him.
A kid hung him, which is a slow and painful death, far more slow than Dragonfire. Hung
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Why? Because he pissed him off.
No, because Ollie killed him.
So you think it's better for her to kill?
And he was a child.
You think it's better for her to kill Tyrion, who's the size of a child, for treason, but not for somebody killing you?
Bro.
A child.
He
Oh.
still fucking killed you.
All I'm not saying John shouldn't have killed Ollie. You're not.
What do you think? What do you think Danny would have done to Tyrion if she found out that Tyrion was telling John to kill her?
Kill him. All right.
And he didn't even. And I mean, like Tyrion didn't even do it.
I understand.
This kid physically killed John.
I understand that. I'm not saying the kid didn't get what he should have got, but it's still a fucked up thing to do to kill a child. to hang a child.
I mean, listen, if we're being honest, if a child stabs me and I come back from the dead, that child's hanging like Ollie.
Okay. All I'm saying is that everybody at some point in this world has done some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what makes them relatable characters.
The difference is that she's got a fucking dragon. Anybody else in that position would do the same thing.
I mean, I don't. Here's the thing. He's a Danny apologist.
I'm not a Danny apologist. All I'm saying is that I find it unrealistic for the person.
Dragons, unrealistic. But
one of the people who led her astray, whose job it was to advise her, who betrayed her repeatedly, to be advocating for her assassination. And then for her to get assassinated, I can understand if she was giving that speech to the Unsullied in that moment and blah, 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 and Jon runs up with Longclaw and stabs her. Fine, you're scared because she's giving a speech that scares you, even though nobody can, like, Jon does not speak fucking Dothraki. So it's not like
that's why they didn't write that in, because that would have been ridiculous.
It's not like they could understand what she was saying anyway. We were going off the look on her face.
Okay, so one of the parts that I kind of had an issue with, I mean, I figured Jon would have said something that he killed Dany because Jon's just a pussy like that.
Mm-hmm.
Jon is the George Washington
I was thinking,
of our
story.
story.
How does anybody know that he fucking killed her if they were the only two people there? And Drogon took her fucking body. It's not like they found her body with his dagger.
Yeah, well, Jon's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so
super.
Why
honorable.
the fuck are you even going to say anything to begin with?
Because he's George Washington.
Well, what's the explanation?
Yeah, exactly.
How,
why? Yeah. And at least if you're gonna have him do that, show it. It would have taken a 30-second clip.
Show that instead of the
him
fucking.
being, I'm sorry, I had to. She was blah, 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 and Grey Worm taking him prisoner.
Yeah, instead of Tyrion walking for 20 minutes or rearranging chairs,
exactly.
show us that. I'll agree 100%.
But the scene where Drogon kind of saw Jon coming into the throne room and just kind of looked at him and kind of like, okay, it's just you type of thing. That to me kind of felt like Drogon has accepted him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had told you before the show started that I didn't think Drogon was going to kill Jon. Yeah, you were talking about, it'd be cool if, Drogon and Jon get in a fight and somehow Jon beats Drogon. The whole time I was thinking, Drogon's not going to kill him.
Yeah.
I think Drogon kind of either senses that he's Targaryen or
knows
there's something about him.
Yeah, he senses that.
So, to me, that's why I thought it was pretty symbolic when he burned down the throne and not Jon.
But dragons have killed other Targaryens before.
Okay. Fuck yeah, you can punch holes in every fucking argument. I'm saying in that instance, no, I'm just
that's
saying
what you guys have been doing to me for fucking 10 minutes.
Yeah, but okay, dragons have killed other Targaryens. Great. He sensed something in Jon that again.
Well, at that time, I'm guessing. Well, he just smelled him. He's like a dog. He smelled him. He recognized him. He's not a threat.
Yeah,
but he was wrong.
Which is
why he blew up the Iron Throne, because he was pissed.
Yeah, I think it was symbolic. Maybe, who knows? We don't know. Maybe he's fucking more intelligent than we think, and he realized that Jon didn't kill her. It was her thirst for the crown that killed her.
But if that's the case, then when we're talking about the things that are bad about the season and this episode in general, the showrunners should have done a better job of establishing how intelligent dragons are the whole way through. If we're going to have that symbol at that point, it's more meaningful if we know that it's a symbol and not we're stipulating that it's a symbol.
He wanted Drogon to do it and then look at the camera and with a British accent go, well, I've done this because I did not believe that.
They could have done a million things throughout the fucking course of the show to signify dragon intelligence. It's not that hard.
I don't think they were going to write in the last season of the show. Could they have done it? Yeah. Season 4?
6?
7?
9?
6? Yeah, whatever. Fine.
Not 9.
But they're not going to write in the last 3 episodes of the show.
If the petition wins.
I understand. But all I'm saying is that that's part of the... If you're making that choice to write that here and you didn't set that up before, it's bad writing. It makes it a bad episode.
Listen, at the end of the whole thing,
it makes it a bad point
kind of
of
a
the
cop
episode.
out. For the show that we're doing right now, it's kind of a cop out just to say all this stuff was just bad writing. Let's just chalk it up at that. This episode, our episode would have been 30 seconds.
But that's what we're discussing, though. We're discussing. You were ambivalent about the episode. He liked the episode. I didn't like the episode. What we're discussing is how the episode was written.
It's bad writing. It's bad writing.
Yeah, that's
the whole season has been bad writing in general. But I just like the symbolism behind him burning down the throne and not killing Jon.
Okay.
I think it would have been cheesy if it would have just lit Jon up and flown away and that's it.
I think it would have been more meaningful because how does it change the story at all? Him burning down the throne doesn't change the. It's a cool symbol, but doesn't change the story at all. Him killing Jon changes the rest of the outcome of the story.
How?
So when you get to the fucking council meeting,
you don't have Jon to bargain.
You don't have You don't have Jon to argue about. Jon doesn't get sent. So now here's the final piece of the Jon whatever before we get into the Bran's coronation. Jon, after all of this, gets sent to prison, right?
Yeah.
For doing exactly what Tyrion, the Hand of the King, wanted him to do. Why? Because the Unsullied were mad. To your first point, who gives a fuck about what the Unsullied care? Like, they're leaving. I could understand if they would have accepted the offer to populate the Reach, and they're mad. Sure. I could even understand if one of the Dothraki was standing there next to fucking Drogon, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna stay. And you, whatever, fine. But you're leaving. Bye.
Yeah.
Also, Westeros and now the North are two separate kingdoms, and your sister's Queen of the North.
Send them to Winterfell and have them ride off. And
she can be like, okay, cool, that's his judgment by Westeros, but I'm the Queen of the North and I pardon you.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I don't think Jon would have accepted it.
That's what I was about to say. Jon's character would have been like, no, but he would have I killed the queen, and he would have fucking gone up there anyways.
I vehemently disagree. When him and Tyrion meet, when Tyrion tells him his sentence, Jon's questioning himself. Did I do the right thing? Like, when Tyrion first tells him, he's not happy about it. Like, you talking about.
Did he say it? Did he say he was happy? Did he say he was not happy?
So it's cool when we talk about Dany's facial expressions, but it's not cool when I talk about Jon's.
Him not being happy, or him more in shock that they are not going to
kill him. Yes.
It looked to me like it wasn't something he was very happy about.
I thought he was more in shock that they weren't going to murder him.
And here's my other here's like what my problem with that part is I wouldn't have minded where Jon ended up if it would have happened how you said last week, and it's a choice that Jon made. Jon did the thing, and he accepted his fucking responsibility, and he said, I don't want the crown. I'm good. I'm going back north.
Yeah.
But when they have this fucking council meeting, no one even discusses the fact that Jon's fucking Aegon Targaryen and that he's the rightful remaining heir to the Iron Throne. It doesn't even get brought up one time. One time. So, defender of the show, tell me, how do you explain that?
Well, I explained that Jon's lineage doesn't matter anymore. And I think the show is trying to tell you that just because your family history dictates that you should be one way or the other, you don't necessarily have to be like that. And
so then why is it that the lords and ladies of the fucking realm are the ones that get to choose? It's their family lineage.
Not all of them. Some of them are new lords and ladies.
One of them.
And what's his face? Davos is not a lord at all.
He was. He was knighted by fucking by Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah, Stannis who has no claim.
All right, but it doesn't matter. He was given a lordship and he was a hand. And the point is that when Sam brought up the fucking possibility of having the
democracy, everybody vote, they said, fuck that. What the fuck do they know for that? You give your dog or a horse a vote. It has to be the lords and ladies. Has to be the people with family lineage or newfound family lineage. But you got to be people with power. Okay. So Jon being Aegon Targaryen matters, especially because that's part of what fucking Tyrion told him when he was convincing him. He says, it matters more than anything you could think. You were on the dragon. You la la la. Like, you... That's
a pretty good impersonation, by the way. That sounded pretty good.
Thank you. They use that as an argument. So, why does Jon's lineage, after all of this shit to get us here, why doesn't it matter now? Like, it doesn't bother you that it was seemingly only used as a plot device to further Dany's quote-unquote madness?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's not good writing, but yes, they used it just for that reason, unfortunately.
Yep, I agree.
Now, again, another 30-second clip of him just saying, oh, I don't care about my lineage, I just don't want it, I wouldn't want to be king anyways, blah, 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 blah. It would take 30 seconds, solves the problem.
I just don't like the fact that, he did this, he saved the world a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Because he was the one who told everybody about the Night King threat. First, he saved the wall from the wildling attack. Then he saved the wildlings from Hardhome, as many as he could. Then he was the one who went and got Dany and convinced Dany to go fucking north. This dude has saved the world over and over again, and he gets sentenced to prison, and Tyrion gets a promotion?
But now
Lane
Kiffin.
Maybe he leaves and he's going to become king of the north. Maybe he does become king of something. King of the North.
And then now you have
but he
kings
didn't
everywhere.
King of the
didn't,
Wild-
but he
the
didn't make
Wildlings.
that choice. They stripped him of that. Like
Yeah.
it takes away like
I
his
mean-
agency. It takes away his heroism.
I agree. I feel from his character that he wouldn't have accepted it anyway.
Yep.
I understand.
I agree.
That.
But
I'm not
yes,
saying that he
I
should have
100%
accepted the
agree.
throne.
Away that
His-
choice
We
from
agree
him.
1,000%. I'm not saying he should have been.
He
king.
ended up exactly where he wanted to be in the end. I
I'm not-
absolutely agree with that.
I understand that. I'm just not happy about how we got there.
Okay.
Okay, one question. Because I had this argument with V. Do you feel that Bran knew everything that was going to happen?
Oh, we're getting there. That's my
And maybe this is why.
fucking out the park.
So, but wait, one thing I do want to mention because you kind of shitted on me about this. What happened to leaderless armies?
What do you mean?
We were talking about, but what's going to happen if Dany dies in the Unsullied and the Dothraki? They're just going to ride around and kill everything. What happens to leaderless armies? Some guy says, you guys can hop on a boat and head back. Okay.
No,
And
their
they were useless.
leader said
They
we're
were-
hopping on a boat and heading back.
Yeah,
their
because-
leader, Grey Worm, was their leader, and their leader said we're leaving.
He was the leader of the Unsullied. Who was the leader of the Dothraki?
But we don't know what happened to the Dothraki because the show didn't tell you.
You saw them getting on boats.
They got on boats, man. They're on boats.
You
They're on
saw
the
them
boat.
getting on
They
boats.
showed the Unsullied getting on
No,
boats.
they were on their way
they
back to
showed
Essos.
Dothraki getting on boats as well. There was Dothraki getting on boats.
Maybe the
They were
Dothraki accepted fucking Grey Worm as their leader. That's not the point.
No, but the point is, leaderless armies.
But they're not leaderless.
Useless.
Grey Worm is their leader. He was the one speaking for the fucking
All
Great
right, but
Council.
you were telling me, but if Danny dies, they could just blah 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 blah
They-
blah.
they
have
should
the biggest
have.
army, and they should have and could have and would have are different things.
Okay.
They don't because
But they're not leaderless. So your argument is
No,
moot because they're not
they're
leaderless. They're not leaderless. He's their leader. He
They
was.
got their
He
punk asses
held
put back
Tyrion
on
prisoner,
boats.
and he held Jon prisoner. He's the reason Jon got sent to the wall. It's not because Sansa wanted him there. So they respected him enough to fucking condemn Jon to prison. He's their leader because he could have just
Which is stupid
he could
anyway,
have just
yeah.
executed Jon if he wanted to. He was their prisoner. He could have executed Tyrion if he wanted to. He was their prisoner. So he was speaking for the entire army at that point. I understand your premise, but he's their leader, and they didn't get put on boats. They were offered to stay. They chose to leave. Yes or no?
they got their punk asses put on boats.
They were offered to stay, and they chose to leave. Yes or no?
I'm gonna say no, because they
So
didn't.
Davos offered him to
Yes,
stay.
yes,
and
he-
they
yes, he
chose
didn't-
to
he
leave.
didn't want to.
Yes or no?
Yes, they still got their punk ass put on boats.
How? That doesn't make
took
any
off.
sense. If they made the choice to leave, they didn't get put anywhere. You can't have both.
Nah, leaderless army. He didn't.
Okay.
They had no point. They had no point.
Yeah. Okay.
They had no point.
So Bran
Sure.
gets nominated king of fucking blah blah because it's a good story. Which how'd you feel about that?
Awesome. Cool, man. I thought that, okay, so here's the thing. I liked that they explained it a little bit. They said, listen, you can't have kids. We're not going to be beholden to any bastard children of this guy. Like, we're good. You know what I mean? So I'm cool with it.
Why is Tyrion the person who gets allowed to nominate the king as a prisoner?
Because he becomes the smartest guy in Westeros again.
Okay.
That's why. I mean, they gave him a cool little speech.
So he gives Bran's resume, including Bran being the three-eyed raven, which half of those people there have no fucking idea what that is. Okay. Here's my belief to your question, where you asked about Bran knowing all this all along. I think he does, and I think that makes him the worst bad guy on the show. Because that means he knew all. If his point was, I'm going to end up here, this is where I'm supposed to end up, he allowed all of those people in King's Landing to get flamed.
Okay.
He allowed
Yeah.
Jorah and Missy and Rhaegal and Dany and all of that shit to happen so that he could end up on the throne. You're a bad guy. Anywhere along this step, he could have been like, yo, by the way, Dragonstone, there's an ambush. Just because they didn't ask him doesn't mean he couldn't volunteer the information. Hey, there's an ambush at Dragonstone. Hey, by the way, they fortified all of the castle walls
Does that
with
not
ballista.
change the future? Maybe that changes the future. Maybe he
All
needed
right.
all those steps
So-
to happen for him to get to that point.
So that makes him a bad guy.
Maybe
If
he's
you-
maybe he's seen the future far enough that he knows him sitting on the throne is going to lead to the greatest Westeros
But
has
we
ever
don't.
been.
But we don't get that. So that's an assumption.
understand.
I'm talking about based on the information we have. He withheld
but we're
information.
assuming that he can see the future.
No, they've said he can see the future.
But he said he lives in the past.
But it doesn't matter. On the show, season 3, he said, "I see the sea coming to Winterfell," and then boom, Theon Greyjoy and the fucking Ironborn take over Winterfell. I saw my dad dead, and then the next fucking episode, Ned's dead. He's seen the future since season 2.
Now, what if he sees the future, but he doesn't see the steps that get to that future? What if he sees the future? He sees is him sitting on the throne.
And he also saw the future when he saw fucking Drogon flying over King's Landing, and then we see the King's Landing. He saw the future with the ash covering the throne room when Dany was in it, and we saw all that. He saw the future, so he allowed, regardless of whether. This is the problem. This is where that argument is. You just said, what if he sees that 50 years on the road, the Westeros is going to be the best ever? That means he was willing to sacrifice all of those innocent people for paradise.
Yeah.
Yes or no? That's what fucking Dany did, and she got killed for it. She killed all those innocent people because she thought she could deliver paradise, and they killed her for it. So Bran is a fucking bad guy, or Dany's not a bad guy. You can't have it both ways.
Okay, so okay. This kind of, to me, it's kind of like the Thanos thing with the finger snap.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a bad guy, or is he
A merciful ruler.
Is he a good guy with a really bad plan?
But if Bran's not a bad guy, Dany's not a bad guy. Dany got killed for the same thing that Bran just did. So that's where I can understand the people who are really crazy Dany stans that are super pissed off. I get it, because he just ended up king by allowing her fall and allowing all those millions or hundreds of thousands or whatever people in King's Landing to die.
Okay, that seems very Games of Thronesy.
Right, cool. But then them celebrating Bran like, oh shit, this guy's gonna be the best king ever is bullshit. Also, can we say, because I saw somebody mention this the other day, can we say that Tyrion prefers having Bran because Bran seems like he's going to be, like you said earlier, kind of like an absentee fucking landlord?
Or he's going to actually
and
run
Tyrion's
going to
run the shit?
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't have a lot of problem with that if they would have
mentioned that.
Like, if that would have been,
right,
if that would have been indicated in any way, and they didn't. So when we're talking about the quality of the show and the episode itself, that I didn't like that.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. I love getting fucking heated about this shit. Can I tell you something? Like, I was telling Ferry before you guys got here. I told you a little bit. It's like talking about this. I've been exhausted all week, like thinking about it and talking about it and planning for this shit or whatever. Because like I've talked to so many people, but everybody I've talked to, I've only given like these little bits,
snippet, yeah.
Because I've been wanting to save this for this, and this has been building for like a week, like a week.
It's like busting that.
It's like a fucking
1 week
nut. Yeah, that's where I'm at, bro.
I mean, listen, you can see it that way. The people 50, 60, 70 years from then are going to look at Bran and be like, you know, most of them are not going to know he can see the future because, like you said, nobody knows what the fuck a third eye raven is.
Right.
And then the kids growing up in this paradise, maybe he turns it into like the best Westeros ever. They're not going to see him as a...
Make Westeros great again.
Yeah,
Make Westeros great again.
They're not going to see him as a tyrant, as somebody that burned down the city. They're not going to see him.
But you can see the same thing about Dany.
But her legacy is still going to be that she burned down that city and killed thousands or millions of people.
But if she starts making shit better, that shit gets washed away really quickly. The same way Cersei blowing up fucking the Sept of Baelor seems to get washed away.
If she makes it better.
Well, if Bran makes it better, we don't know.
But we're assuming, again, I'm saying this assuming that he was able to see the future and able to see him sitting on the throne and making everything.
Yeah, but he still allowed those people to die.
What is it? What do they say? Changing the wheel or whatever?
Breaking the wheel.
Yeah,
breaking the wheel.
He still allowed those people to die.
Yeah, okay.
And whatever. I don't know. I just think I think it's crap for them to say Aaron Rodgers said that the same shit. Did you see that in his interview?
I kind of...
He said the same thing. He was like, so, I mean, whatever. He said the same thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking repeat it. What else?
Okay, so stupid question.
Yeah.
You can delete this if you want later. If a guy, let's say in another country, doesn't have any medical people like watching and whatever. He tests a certain medication on thousands of humans and eventually cures cancer, but kills thousands of humans in the process to save millions later. Is he a bad guy?
No,
Complex characters, man. That's what the story is all about.
Are the people volunteering to get tested on, or
No.
are they just fucking
no, they're
kidnapped
just-
and
No,
tested
I mean
on?
they're volunteering to get tested on, but they don't know what they're getting tested. He's saying, "Hey, this is a medication. I'm gonna pay you $500."
If they're not given the full information and they don't have all the information they need to actually make a choice, he's a bad guy, regardless of what the ends.
Even though he's curing cancer and he's saving millions.
The ends might justify the means, right? The cure for cancer
Well,
might,
but that's how I feel about Bran. That's how I feel about Bran, not Danny. The ends for Bran
Why?
can justify the means.
It's the same number of people dead. It's the same number of people
but
dead.
the end might justify the means. Again, we don't know. We don't know the end.
But the thing is, the end for that, like, think about what Danny's platform was up until this moment. Liberate slaves, make sure there's no slavery, build a better world. She never said, I want to fucking enslave the universe and burn everybody. So her platform has always been, I want to build a better world. So it's reasonable to assume that, enemies notwithstanding, her ideal situation would be to build a better world.
Yeah. The problem is her deciding who her enemies are. That's the problem. Like,
your enemies are your enemies.
Is Jon going to be okay with her burning down Winterfell because Sansa doesn't want to bend the knee?
Of course not. Right. But you know what? What did Jon tell Tyrion? They're going to follow the fucking queen. When he leaves the room, he's like,
Arnold.
They're
Arnold
gonna,
Schwarzenegger.
and you know what? When Danny tells Jon, I want you to rule the world with me, blah, blah, blah. Who's to say Jon can't, the way we do, in our real fucking world, little by little, be like, babe, I'm going to go play Overwatch later. Is it cool if I play Overwatch later? Like, you maneuver it until you get what you want. Like, there's nothing to say that he's not going to be capable of doing that, other than he's a fucking brooding idiot.
He's a
but
pussy.
Maybe he lays the pipe down and she likes it. Obviously, she did.
So I do have a couple thoughts about the whole season. All right, so I'm going to read these in no particular order, and I would love to get a opinion from you about this. All right? So, first and foremost, let's talk about some of the good things Season 8 had, okay? First up, Season 8 created a number of great jobs in Brexit-stricken Belfast. Can we all agree that if it weren't for D&D, these people wouldn't have had jobs and gotten paid, correct?
Sure.
Hands down, the best CGI I've seen on TV.
Sure.
Okay. Can we agree that there was too much dead weight seasons 1 through 7? The writers got straight to the point and the essence of medieval fantasy and cut all the junk off?
Nope, absolutely not.
Yeah,
the quality of this show was built around, and it's funny.
Those characters, yeah.
I was having this conversation with Mo's brother Raul, Wheezy, because he hasn't watched the show in its entirety. So we were discussing that, and I told him that my favorite moments on the show, and I think a lot of people would agree, were the little moments. Like Tywin and Arya when she was his cupbearer in Harrenhal. The conversations that Varys and Littlefinger have. You know, the Chaos is a Ladder one. Or the other ones that they had throughout the course of the show. Those little moments, those character building moments, being able to develop so many characters, to your point, and not just have it be about the Starks and shit like that, is what made the show awesome.
Anything with Martell in it was fantastic.
Yeah. You know what was a really underrated scene? There was a conversation that him and Varys had in the fucking throne room. Do you remember that?
Like season
4. Yeah, Oberyn was only in season 4, and that was an awesome scene, dude. When they were talking
I don't
about
remember what they said, but
it was awesome.
Prince Oberyn?
Lord Varys.
Only Varys. I'm not actually a nobleman. No one is under obligation to call me lord.
And yet everyone does.
You seem quite knowledgeable about the Unsullied. Did you spend much time in Essos?
5 years.
May I ask why?
'Tis a big and beautiful world. Most of us live and die in the same corner where we were born and never get to see any of it. I don't want to be most of us.
Most of us aren't princes.
You are from Essos. Where? Lys. I have an ear for accents.
I've lost my accent entirely.
I have an ear for that as well. How did you get here?
It's a long story.
One you don't like telling people.
People I trust.
My paramour, Eladia, she would find you very interesting. You should come to the brothel and meet her. We've brought our own wine, not the swill they serve here. We have some lovely boys on retainer, but... You did like boys before. Really? Girls, I hope you won't be offended when I say I never would have guessed.
Not at all. But I was never interested in girls either.
What then?
Nothing.
Everybody is interested in something.
Not me. When I see what desire does to people, what it's done to this country, I am very glad to have no part in it. Besides, the absence of desire leaves one free to pursue other things.
Such as?
Awesome conversation. Just those little bits.
Oh, the freaking the little lady that
Olenna and Jamie.
High Garden. Oh my god.
Every scene she was on talking.
She was fantastic.
When the scene with Oberyn volunteering to fight for fucking Tyrion, and he tells him the story about what Cersei did to him as a baby. Again, Cersei. Those are what made the show. So I think that's what a lot of people's objections to this season are, is that we didn't get it. Like episode 2 of this season was the highest rated episode of the season, right? And why was that? The knighting of Brienne, the fucking little fireside chat that all these guys had. That's what made the show, man.
Okay. So there were a lot of complaints this season about plot armor, correct? Plot armor this, plot armor that. Everyone had plot armor. You know, that's why they couldn't die. Can we just admit that this season was bulletproof?
Yeah, and I think the whole Arya being death and riding on the white horse thing, I think it was just people reading in too much bullshit.
No, I thought that was cool, but I think it would have been more impactful had she actually done something in that episode.
That's what I'm saying. Had she done something, had she killed somebody, had she be the one that killed Dany or Grey Worm or some shit like that, because that's all she had to do. Kill Grey Worm and be like, fuck you, John ain't going anywhere. Yeah. And, you know, Tyrion's free or whatever the fuck you want to do with Tyrion. I don't care. But she kind of didn't fucking play a role except for killing the Night King, which was fantastic.
Yeah. But again, that's pretty much where her arc ended for some stupid reason.
That to me was another miss on the show.
Yeah.
Cinematically, it would have been fucking awesome had she been dressed as a White Walker and done it. Same fucking outcome, but just the whole point of her being able to swap faces and do that shit and the whole blue eyes and whatever that the fucking Red Witch told her.
Well, she said she was going to shut blue eyes forever, not wear blue eyes. That's
okay,
weird.
Whatever. I mean, it would have been cool if she would have been fucking dressed as a White Walker when it happened and we would have been like, oh, what the fuck? And then stab and then peels the face off. And then just fucking awesomeness.
Well, she would have had to somehow isolate one of the White Walker generals and then kill him. They were all walking together. They were all together the whole time.
It didn't have to be a fucking general. It could have just been any fucking White Walker.
No, but the zombie things aren't White Walkers. White Walkers are the generals. The other things are just whites.
Okay, it could have been a white. Fine. It could have been a white. Dressed as a fucking undead white guy with the blue eyes.
But they don't have blue eyes. The only ones that have... Okay, fine.
No, they have blue eyes. When they fucking wake up, they have the fucking...
Yeah, you're right.
The blue eyes.
You're right.
I know. Yeah. But just dress like that. Be looking like one of the fucking Dothraki, undead, blue-eyed fucking demon people. Stab that motherfucker in the face. Peel the face off. That would have been... Just cinematically, it would have been a fucking cool little story thing.
Sure.
Doesn't change the story. It just...
it would have looked cooler. Yeah.
Just a miss, I think, in the season.
Yeah, I get you.
Whatever. I would have liked to see it.
I don't like where she ended. The whole thing, I'm going to go sail around the world, when she could have just asked Bran, yo, so what's that way?
Okay.
We're good? Awesome.
What did
And
it?
how did they get the boat so quickly?
They had
Like,
boats
it
there.
was
They're in
a
King's
fucking
Landing.
boat with
Time-
the wolf on it, and wolf sails.
They
and
just time.
time just traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been?
They had to have enough time to march the army. Remember when Sansa tells Grey Worm, there's thousands of Northmen outside your city. Well, they had to have time to march.
Well, they could all march when they all came down at the same time. Yeah.
Do you think it would have been funny had Sam opened up the book of when he opened up the book to show the small council, if he would have then said, "But it's not finished yet."
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Do you think it would have been like a kind of a callback to George?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said today? Right? He said that he will finish the next book by 2020. Like it's
No, the one I read, he said he didn't want to give a date, but this was a couple days ago, so maybe it's like an
no. This
updated
one's from
one.
today. Yeah.
Okay, and they asked him, "Does it end the same as the show?" And he's like, "Yes and no, and yes and no."
Yeah.
And he went
Super
back and
vague
forth for like.
So the book that he's writing now that he wants to finish by 2020, that's the last of the books?
Because remember in the book
that's book six.
That's book
six.
Yeah, because remember in
So
the
has
book
to
right
write one
now,
more.
John has just been stabbed in the
Yeah.
books.
In the books
Holy
right now, John
shit.
just
I
died.
haven't read the books.
Danny is with the Dothraki find Danny when she flies away
Yeah.
from the dragon pit. Stannis is still alive and he's about to go march on Winterfell.
Battle of the Bastards.
Hasn't
happened yet
No, that's
because
okay.
John's dead.
Okay, Sansa is in the Vale with Littlefinger still.
Best character.
And Jamie and Brienne. Jamie's story is way different in the book, so Jamie and Brienne are doing something totally different.
And then you have Lady Stoneheart.
That's another miss on the story for me. The whole Jamie Brienne thing was a fucking piece of shit. But whatever.
All right.
All right, so I think we gave this a good burn.
I think I convinced all your listeners that
You're much better than Black is at understanding
no,
the show.
that Danny was just poor
No,
bastard.
I guarantee you that's not going to be
No,
the
I know,
takeaway at all.
probably not.
You know, coming from my professional background, I would say that there's a lot of leadership training that needs to go on in Westeros.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. They need a couple of weeks at
We all going to
Wrap
meet up
up
at
the
Taco
show?
Bell? Steak and Shake?
No, I gotta go home. And
Let Hector talk to a fly?
wrap up the show.
Who's your sponsor?
Okay. All right. We want to thank you guys for listening. As always, please, if you've gone this far, you might as well just rate us. 5 stars if you love us. 5 stars if you hate us. Catch us out on our Instagram page at Back of the Bus. Yeah.
Back of the Bus podcast.
Back of the Bus Podcast. Or you can email us at backofthebusmiami.com at gmail.com. Also, guys, reach out
Pete,
to us.
do you want to plug your
You wanna plug
Instagram
it?
page?
Yeah, plug Instagram.
Yeah, I have 85 followers. Woo! Don't fucking follow me. I don't give a shit.
No, that's how he gets all the followers.
What is it? At Pleximus,
Pleximus
Prime.
Prime.
And he's doing the cool glass design
Oh, I
thing.
do.
So if you want to check that out, that's pretty cool.
Etching design.
Yeah, and he'll do them for you for $900.
There you go.
No.
No, he won't do them for you.
I'll
All
do
right,
it for
guys.
you, but not for $900.
We would love to be back. Thank you for listening to everything about Game of Thrones. We've got a lot planned. We're going to get the regular show back on track, I guess, at some point, and then we will be able to give you guys weekly shows. Have a great Father's Day.
You too, bud.
All
Peace
right?
out.
Later.